The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Today on Farm Connections, we explore the North American Farm and Power Show, a sprawling display of the latest concepts and technology in agriculture. This is serious show business with more than 700 product lines, old school, new school, and fresh ideas about to meet the marketplace. Come with us to learn the cutting edge of agriculture and learn how farmers and others stay current in their business. It's all up next on Farm Connections.
Welcome to Farm Connections with your host, Dan Hoffman.
Farm Connections on KSMQ, sponsored in part by the Cedars of Austin, a senior living community. We even have a retired farmers club. Independent, assisted, and memory care apartments. Learn more at cedarsofaustin.com. Will Mahler, the ag attorney, has been representing dairy farms in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin for 37 years. Will Mahler, the ag attorney's office is in Rochester, and Will is a proud partner of Farm Connections. Thanks, Will Mahler.
What would you expect to find at an agricultural trade show? Certainly, new ideas. At the North American Farm and Power Show in Owatonna, we found old friends, new friends, and just about every new technology imaginable. One thing for sure, it takes a lot to produce food, fuel, feed, and fiber for today's growing world. And folks at this show take their work seriously. It's their job to share, demonstrate, educate, and encourage participants to embrace what's new in agriculture. Let's take a look.
The North American Farm Power Show is an agriculture show that has been around for 30 plus years. I describe it as an agriculture show, an agribusiness show. Not only do we get farmers and ranchers from this area, we also get agribusinessmen, and we're not only talking equipment, we're talking seed companies, we're talking fertilizer companies, we're talking building companies. We appeal to everybody, not just the farming community, but we appeal to the whole gamut of people. They realize that ag is important to the world economy, to the Minnesota economy. The farming community, is our backbone of the agriculture industry. We feed the whole world. So farmers have a chance to come to this show and visit with reps, visit with dealers. I've had comments from farmers that would rather come to a smaller show, a regional show, instead of going to, say, a large national show. Sure, the national shows are great. A lot of the factory reps are there. But the farmer says, when I go to that show, I can't communicate with that factory rep. He doesn't know what I need on my farm. He doesn't know my farming operation. He doesn't know what I raise. He says, I'd rather go to a smaller regional show like yours, where he says, I know the dealers there. He can show me what I need. He knows what I need on my farm. And he said, it works better for me. I can do a one-on-one with the local dealer, the local rep, than I can with a factory guy. They can take away a trust feeling that they can get good information from me and from the show. Down the road, they can come away with the idea, well, I saw it at the farm show.
Well, the technology really is exciting, and it's bringing in a whole new generation of people interested in agriculture and new careers. And I watched some of them walking around the show. We've got FFA members, we've got people in their 20s, we've got people in their 80s. What's the big appeal to a farm show?
Well, we've been doing this for, like I said, many years. The appeal, farm shows got started years ago in Germany. That's where they got started overseas. And the appeal of a farm show is a farmer, rancher can come to the show, and instead of taking his time and his effort to go from dealer to dealer, he can come to the show, talk to the dealers, talk to the factory reps, visit with his neighbors, and they can look at different products. They can do the comparison shopping at one location in a couple hours or a couple days. So, that's really the advantage of the farm show. Just like any other show out there, it brings people together, brings the farmer and the dealer, the rep, on a neutral basis where they can talk, see what's new in ag, The dealer can recommend stuff, the farmer can ask questions and get the answers he wants for farming.
And it looks like the farmer or the customer can actually touch and use some of the equipment.
Well, you know, the old touch and feel, nothing better than walking up to a tractor and looking it over. Sure, you can jump on the internet or you can jump in the print and look at it, but it's nothing like crawling around it, starting it up, feeling it, and talking to the rep and seeing the features. You know, the reps will tell us, you know, they're not going to sell everybody at the show, but they're going to plant a seed in that mind that maybe 6 months down the road, 2 months down the road, that farmers, hey, I saw this at the farm show, I want to come back and do some dealing. A good exhibitor will take some notes, have some good leads written down, and when the time comes and they know the customer's interested, farmer can come back, give them a phone call, and say, hey, I'm interested, come to my place, look at my used equipment, let's make a deal. So,
how many people attend this show?
Well, we do 4 farm shows around the Midwest. Our average attendance are 20 to 30,000, depending on the show, depending on the quantity of exhibits we have. Of course, the weather's a big factor, but we're looking at 20 to 25,000 through this show in 3 days.
Wonderful. And John, you've had a long family history involved with this show and others. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, Dad started the farm show business after we closed up the farm equipment business in Rose Creek, Minnesota. And that was about 1981. We had the first farm show in Peoria, Illinois, and it has evolved from there. And now we're recognized as having some of the best farm shows in the country.
Well, this is a great show. How many people actually come here to exhibit?
Well, we'll have about 284 exhibiting companies. Of course, those 284 exhibiting companies, they represent over 700 different product lines. So even though we're talking that kind of number, you know, there's a lot of product lines. Some of the exhibitors will represent half a dozen product lines. So that's, you know, that's big numbers.
Big numbers. And oftentimes when people talk about the economy, they think about one little segment and they fail to think about all that agriculture does: manufacturing, sales, trade shows, technicians. How many people do you think that this show touches beyond just the people showing up here?
Oh, that's a good question, Dan. There's a bunch of big, like you say, that reaches out over a lot of people. You know, we're looking at, you know, you look at the exhibiting end of the exhibitors, you're looking at the food end of the exhibitors, you look at the advertising end, the print, the radio, the media, people that supply products, the decorator that comes and decorates a show. It just goes on and on. So yeah, it's a bunch of people that farming nationwide, you know, we're the breadbasket of America, of the world. There's no way around it. Farming is a breadbasket, and we feed people worldwide. And you know that's why farming is so important. If we didn't have farming, who else would feed the people? Sure, there's some other countries that produce some product. Brazil and Argentina are getting into soybeans and corn down there, but still, if you want quality, good quality food, you can come to the United States and you know you can get it. So,
John, at the end of the day, what makes you happy and feel like the show was a success?
For us, if the exhibitors have a great show, they let us know right away. And that's been the history. Steve can attest to this, that, you know, these guys put on a great show and the people keep coming back. The exhibitors keep coming back. It's like a family, and it ends up being a social function for the ag community.
Well, there's social, there's food, there's information exchanged, and I also noticed you had some great workshops scheduled. Tell me about that, Steve.
Well, we try to schedule workshops, educational workshops for all of our shows. So we do 4 shows, and at all of them we do education. Fortunately, here in the state of Minnesota, we've got the University of Minnesota, which is a strong, very strong ag college. They're willing to put on educational seminars for us every day. The Linder Farm Network, who we work with, they put on shows for us. And at our other shows, you know, Kansas State University, Purdue University, it is just vital. You know, they know what's going on in the ag field, what are our hot topics. So they're willing to help us out, and it's just part of the show. We need good education. We get full houses. You know, I've seen some of our educational seminars, 500, 600, 700 people in one setting. So it's definitely needed in the ag field.
In one setting?
In one setting, yep.
So it's a wonderful educational tool. And I'm guessing that when these agriculturists and farmers come to this show, they're dealing with the trade representative saying, listen, have you thought about changing this on your product? How about re-engineering? Does that happen?
Yes, it does. We've got some factory reps come through, and they talk to education people, and they work out ideas and thoughts, you bet. So
this is really exciting, and I want to encourage you guys to keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep, thanks, Dan.
John, thank you.
You bet.
I had the opportunity to look closer at cutting-edge technologies in agriculture while visiting with Eric Johnson. Tell me about your company.
We're out of Winnebago, Minnesota. We just started in January of this year, so we're brand new. We carry a variety of products for ag, anything from grain management systems to weather stations, and our other offerings are UAVs used for either crop scouting or analysis of fields throughout the year. So,
Eric, UAV.
UAV is the nice term for unmanned aerial vehicles. We don't like to say the word drone because of some of the other implications with, the way it's been used in the media and whatnot. So,
well, let's start with some of the things like the grain monitoring system and then move up to the UAV. Tell me about the grain monitoring system. How does it work?
It's from OPI Integris. What they have is a variety of sensors that will go down in a bin based on diameter of the bin floor. With the Pro model system they have, they'll be able to detect differences in temperature and alert you if any concerns come up in the bin where you might need to take action. It'll also monitor moisture, so based on the corn getting too dry or too wet, it will either pump moisture in or take moisture out to keep your product in the bin at the precise level so you have something good to bring to market.
Eric, why is it important to monitor the moisture and the temperature of the grain in the bin?
Well, the grain is in the bin. You don't want anything bad to happen to it until it's time to take it to market. So,
well, what bad can happen to it?
Spoilage, temperature, rotten corn around the sides. You don't need that. You can't sell that. So.
All kinds of biological things, right?
Correct, yes.
In Minnesota, that's really extreme because we have extreme temperatures. Cold, hot, and then moisture moves and migrates through the grain, right?
Yes, exactly.
Too much moisture, we've got rotten grain.
Exactly.
So your system becomes very valuable to a farmer.
Yeah, it'll alert you if temperature rises too much in the grain, and if you need to pump moisture in, it'll do that automatically. You can actually see a return on investment because a lot of farmers have seen that bin fans actually run about 20% of the time rather than having them on all the time, all day, every day. You only need to run them certain points in the day, and the system will tell you when to run that.
So I'm going to get more sleepy because I'm comfortable about my grain, or is it going to wake me up all the time and say, go check the bin?
I think you'll sleep like a baby.
Worth the investment.
Yes, exactly.
So you've also got a weather station.
We
Tell
do.
me about that.
We have two different models. The Vantage View is a nice small one that you can put on a post to have at the farm. It also comes with an internet card, so you can put it on the internet, and weather websites such as Weather Underground will post that on the internet so everyone can use it. Both of these are from Davis Instruments, and they're used by the National Weather Service as accurate enough to be posted on the internet. So they do help. If you have multiple of them throughout the county, you can get a very good idea what's going on in a certain region if there's enough of them. So
I can predict yields, I can predict possible insect infestations, those kinds of things that follow weather?
Well, yeah, essentially. It'll keep an eye on what's going on with humidity and weather, and you'll be able to track the history of it online as well. So
maybe even predict my yield so I know if I can buy Christmas presents for the family?
That'll be coming in the next release.
Okay. Well, you've also got this other thing with wings. What is that?
Yeah, we do. We have two different UAVs that we represent. The first one is the EB. It is 36-inch wingspan. It only weighs 2 pounds with the battery in there. This is a product that a farmer can purchase, and really a nice crop scouting tool. He'd be able to go out and fly 160 acres and be able to get an aerial view from under 400 feet on what his crop is looking like. They can also get a vegetative index, which would be able to give him a colorized map on healthy plants would appear green, plants that would need attention would appear red on the map. So that would give them an indication of what, if some action would need to be taken, or at least go out and investigate what is going on in the field.
So from an aerial vantage point, I can determine in the middle of that quarter section what's happening, populations, color change in the plant?
Well, yeah, it will give you the aerial view. You can do population on this. It would give you would have to draw a line out on a completed project. And with this one, you'd actually have to, count the plants along a line to get an idea for the plant count, or the stand count. So,
and why is that important to a farmer?
well, they put X amount of plants in the ground. It's important to know how many are coming up. So you can know off the bat if you have lost 10% of your inputs or what the percentages is. The other UAV that we offer is a service-based, and that is called WingScan. The UAV is called the Vireo, and the service that it's offered is WingScan. And with that service, you can actually count every plant in the field, which is done through the software reading the photographs. So,
Well, farmers need data and they like technology.
they do.
What kind of payback period would you have in a piece of equipment like this? How long would it take to recover the cost that I've invested?
On a subscription-based service, they're hoping to preserve yields and also increase yields. They're going to have such things as nitrogen indexes, so you'll be able to know how much nitrogen will be needed in parts of the field. You'll really be able to detect diseases in soybeans far before the human eye can see it. So if action like that can be taken, you can preserve the whole field rather than having a loss to disease or something like that. Those are items that are very close to hitting the market and being available to farmers, but items like that will definitely help.
And it looks like it operates fairly inexpensively. No diesel fuel, no gas.
Nope, yep, it runs on an electric motor. This particular model will fly for about 45 minutes. Runs on a lithium polymer battery. Just plugs in the front, and you can charge it in your car when you're done as you're going to the next field, and have multiple batteries and continue flying all day. So,
What kind of response are you getting from farmers?
oh, huge response. We've been to a couple shows now, and a lot of conversations. Pick up a lot of email addresses, send out a lot of information, and very good response.
What do you like about the North American Farm and Power Show?
This is the first time I've been here, and the response on this first morning has been great. Had been talking ever since 9 o'clock, so hope to keep it going throughout the day, and had a good crowd so far.
Will you be back next year?
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for visiting, Eric.
Hey, thank you, Dan.
Corn is a very important crop in the Midwest, and the Minnesota Corn Growers Association is the source for up-to-date information for corn producers and others. I caught up with Gail Bergstrom and Dale Bush to tell us about their organization's work and their reasons for being at the show. Minnesota Corn Growers, why are you here?
We're here for a couple of reasons. One is that it helps us promote our membership in our Corn Growers Association, which is real important when it comes to legislative matters. The other one is that there's a lot of retired people from around the area and people that live in Owatonna. And we're also promoting ethanol, which is a clean fuel that keeps the price of gas lower. And we can't quite understand why all the people don't like ethanol.
Well, I burn it in my car. Dale, what is the Corn Growers Association?
Corn Growers is a membership organization. If you grow corn or if you're an agribusiness person, you can belong to the Minnesota Corn Growers. And as Gail said, we simply promote corn, and part of that is ethanol.
So what value is that to Minnesota and to our farmers?
Huge impact. We have 18 or 20 ethanol plants in the state of Minnesota today, so there's a very large economic impact as far as the sale of the product is concerned, as far as the employment is concerned. And we think ethanol is important because we say it's clean, it's renewable. Burn it, we'll grow more next year.
Well, I heard Devana Zoig speak about that very same thing about a farm being sustainable. She grows corn and it goes into ethanol, it goes into livestock feed and other products. And she said our farm's been producing products and crops for 150 years. If that's not sustainable, what is? And that really hit a nerve with me because that's a long time.
I think that one thing that you don't hear much about is the impact economically that ethanol has within our own counties. Around Moore County, there's 4 ethanol plants, and this corn used to be grown and shipped to Winona and then sent down the river, and by making ethanol with it, we're putting our own people to work, and the money is coming back into Moore County and Olmsted County and Dodge County, so it has a huge impact on even like the city of Rochester.
And that's called value added. Instead of shipping it down the river, we keep it in Minnesota, make another product out of it, and we make more money on our corn that way than we possibly could simply selling it.
Well, I'm super glad to hear farmers are making money, but if a farmer makes money What does he do with that? Does he keep it? Does he?
Well, we
He
spend
rolls it over in the community.
Is that why you're at the North American Farm and Power Show?
Absolutely. These people are big sellers of farm machinery, and that's who our people are going to buy machinery from. And also the bins and the machine sheds and all the things that they will spend money and keep that rolling in the community many, many times. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in communities that aren't aware of how important agriculture is to the hometown, to the farm in Kenmore.
Well, walking around the show today and spending some time in Owatonna, I think they understand the importance of agriculture in this community.
One item that a lot of people don't understand is that when you make ethanol, you aren't using any of the food part of it. That's sold out as distiller's dried grain and is fed to livestock, which all of the people around, or not all the people, but most of the people like to eat meat.
Sure.
And
that's the protein part of the corn kernel that he's talking
the
about.
protein part is there, and there'll be we can grow plenty of corn for fuel and food.
Well, Gail, what other things is corn used for? We pull some off for the ethanol. It's a liquid fuel we use in our vehicles. You pull off the DDGs, dried distiller's grains, and it's fed to livestock. What other things is corn used for?
Levon and I that's my wife Levon, had a conversation on that. We were reading the labels on syrup and ketchup and went through the whole list of things, and about the first item was corn syrup, or corn sweetener, which is a big item for all the products. Pretty much everything you buy in the grocery store has some of that in it.
Has a corn sweetener in it.
How many members does the association have in Minnesota?
Close to 6,900. That's our goal for this year. And we are very, very close to that, depending upon what month it is, because it's a rolling thing, membership. As memberships come up for renewal, and if they're not renewed, then you drop down, you go back up. But long story short, we're around 6,900.
That's a lot of members. What value do they derive from joining an association like Minnesota Corn Growers Association?
They get all of the things that the corn growers do for them, and the work and the promotion that corn growers do.
The research too.
And the research.
And also in the legislative, both here and at the national level, we have a pretty strong voice.
Well, excellent, guys. Why are you at this show?
Because this is an important part of the Minnesota economy. This is a big show, and we want to be here. We want to have a presence. We want to have conversations with corn farmers and the general public.
And also the exhibitors, because all this machinery has been hauled on semi-trailers or semi-trucks. And there's people selling it and servicing it, and they're all spending their money in the local area too.
So far, this has been a great show. It's been very busy this morning.
Wonderful. I noticed people signing up and asking questions. If the audience has questions about corn growers, do you have a website they can go to?
mncorn.org.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Gail. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Stop in someday.
I'll do that.
Thanks,
Gail,
Dan.
thank you.
Yep, you bet.
At the North American Farm and Power Show, I saw a lot, learned a lot, and enjoyed the entire event. Now it's time to look ahead. Let's meet the FFA Student Leader of the Week.
I think it was a family thing that is the reason I got involved with FFA. My grandpa was in FFA as well as my dad, and moving down to a rural area from Northfield, Minnesota to New Richland, Minnesota, it was just an honor or a privilege to have an agriculture education in our school. And so with that, I got involved with some classes as well as following the footsteps of my two older sisters, Sarah and Jill, and just being able to explore FFA with them and taking it to the next level of applying for region office and being honored to serve as a region officer really expanded my horizons of what FFA can offer beyond the chapter level and even the state level. We raise about 40 boar meat goats, and we mostly raise them to show. So we sell to prospective FFA and 4-H members that we take a lot of pride in, and we have a lot of enjoyment working with them, with the goats and the members, and seeing both projects excel in what they do. I was at home during the period of J-term, so I was the mother to these goats as I was assisting and making sure that they were getting the right nutrition and they were looking healthy. I'm currently concluding my freshman year at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls, and I went into college thinking I wanted to go into animal science, and I still am, but I've picked up a double major to go into agriculture education, and I really thought about it, and I wanted to go beyond FFA, beyond this organization, to be able to work with agriculture students and figuring out what they want to do with their future, as many mentors of mine have done similar to me. And so with that, I want to work with students as well as livestock, as both are a passion of mine, and either through as an agriculture teacher or even through a livestock company that supports 4-H and FFA is definitely something I'm looking into.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Farm Connections. Tune in next week to learn more about how agriculture is growing in our region.
Farm Connections on KSMQ, sponsored in part by the Cedars of Austin, a senior living community. We even have a retired farmers club. Independent, assisted, and memory care apartments. Learn more at cedarsofaustin.com. Will Mahler, the ag attorney, has been representing dairy farms in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin for 37 years. Will Mahler, the ag attorney's office is in Rochester, and Will is a proud partner of Farm Connections. Thanks, Will Mahler.